This is the plaintiff, Tiana Johnson. She says she parked her car in the defendant's parking lot. Now she has a scratched bumper and the defendant refuses to pay. This isn't right, and she's here in the name of justice, seeking the $1,000 she's owed. This is the defendant, Eric. He says the woman left his parking lot and then 3 hours later accused him of scratching her car. It could have gotten scratched anywhere. She's just trying to blame him. He's accused of a car catastrophe.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says she parked her car in the defendant's parking lot. He scratched her car and now won't pay. But the defendant says that the woman left his parking lot and came back 3 hours later accusing him of the damage. How dare she? It's the case of car catastrophe.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Johnson, what happened?
Well, I had parked my car there on October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I went back on the 4th to go get my car. It was me and my nephew and my niece. My car was reversed
I'm sorry, hold on, back up. This is an outdoor parking lot, right?
Correct.
And you do the parking yourself, correct?
No, the tenant parks the car. Well, the tenant parked my car.
The attendant parks your car, so you give him the car with the keys in it, and they park the car?
Correct.
All right, and what happens?
When I went to go get my vehicle, it was reversed in, so I didn't notice any scratches on the back of the car.
Wait, I'm sorry, now I'm confused. So you go and get your own car, the attendant doesn't bring it to you?
Correct. He gave me the keys to take my own car out.
And then you drive out, and then what happens?
I went to go drop my niece off. I said I didn't notice the damages because the car was reversed back. I noticed the damages once I got in the trunk. I seen the damages. I then dropped my niece off.
When did you get, you said you went, you dropped your niece off. And so when is it that you noticed the damages? When you dropped your niece off or when you got home? When did you notice the damages?
When I dropped my niece off, I noticed the damages once I got out the car and I was in the I went in the trunk to get her stuff. That's when I noticed the damages.
Okay. And that was how long after you had left the parking lot?
Probably like about an hour.
Okay. And did you call them or did you go back?
No, I went back. I went back.
And what happened?
I explained to the guy what happened. I didn't really understand him. He didn't understand me because he didn't really speak that much English. I asked him to call the owner. He FaceTimed the owner and showed him the damages. He said that I left out the garage, that he wasn't liable because I left out. I asked him if he could play the cameras to, it would show that he was liable because I left my car there for 2 days. He refused, and then I called the cops. The cops told me there was nothing they could do because it was private property, that I would have to take it up in court, and that's what I did.
Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. Eric.
Well, the young lady parked the car, like she says, and she parked it on a Saturday evening. And
does she give it to the attendant? Is it accurate that the attendant is the one who parks the car?
She gave it to the attendant. It's an open lot. So the car was parked for a couple of days. She came to retrieve the car on a Sunday about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And just as it sounds, like she was saying, she came back, but not 1 hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours later, claiming that her bumper was scratched on my premises. And one thing, Your Honor, is that I cannot be liable for any person that doesn't look of any damage inside my premises. Otherwise, I'll be paying for everybody scratch after they leave the premise of anything that happened. That is it's any parking lot rule. I mean, are you conscious of what's happening to your car, the way you leave your car in the parking lot? You should be conscious and look at it before you leave the premises, because it's impossible for me to be paying $1,000 for scratch on the car that could have happened anywhere. I'm not saying that it didn't happen in my place, and if it did, if we would have an argument, and then we'll see how it happened previously. But I have my people that will fix my cars, and hey, I'd be more than glad to. I would have spoken to her, but when I told her what had happened, she disappeared, and the only thing that I heard a month so later was just a summons from the small claim court.
Well, what else is she going to discuss with you? She called you, and you were FaceTiming with her. You told her, I'm not responsible. And what else is there to do? Keep begging you? I mean, she says that she asked you to play the cameras. Do you have cameras on the parking lot?
I have camera, but the cameras, they're not the high definition camera. And it was late at night, and there's no way a little scratch is going to show on the camera, Your Honor. It's impossible.
Right.
But when I went to go pick up my car, it was during the day. So if you were able to show the cameras, it would show during the day that it was scratches when I left the parking lot. That's why I asked you to show me the cameras.
You hear what she's saying?
Yeah, I see what she's saying, but the problem is that scratch on the car is very hard unless it's
They're not great cameras. They're not. It's not like someone's got their iPhone, at you and then you can squeeze it higher. It's very blurry. I've seen these cameras before. Ms. Johnson, here's where the problem lies. I've been doing these cases all my life. You know what I do when someone brings me a car I've left for them, when the valet brings the car around and I'm going to get in my car? I start here. The car comes here. I don't want to seem like a weirdo or a jerk or like I'm holding somebody up. So I look at the car as it's coming, so I've got the front side. Then I walk around, and then I make it up to here, and then I come back and get in the car so I can make sure that there's no dent on it. Why? Because once you drive off, it is extremely, extremely hard to prove. They're saying, the only way for you to prove it happened here is to tell us when you pick up the car. And he's kind of right. That's the only way to prove these cases. I'm looking at the damage to your car, and you had sent this car, your damage is on the top of your fender. So I don't even know how it could have happened that way. So how does something like that happen? I don't know.
So if it came in it like that, why wasn't it documented that my car was already scraped?
That's not his premise, is not that it came in there like that. His premise is that you left the parking lot and you can't disprove that it happened after you left. Tell me how that would happen in the parking lot. That damage to your car. What's your theory?
I'm not sure, but I know when I came in there that my car wasn't like that at all.
Your Honor.
I don't know how that could have happened. Yeah. My car was in there from the second, the third, and the fourth.
Go ahead, Mr. Eric.
From where the scratch is at, that seems like it's a high vehicle, either a truck or something backing up and getting on top of her bumper. It had to be a high vehicle for that to happen. Otherwise, the bumper would have been pushed in from the back if it's a low car that hits her. Understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do.
Because as professionals,
maybe she just didn't, and she didn't realize it, Yeah. All right, listen, it's a proof problem. When you come into court and you're the plaintiff, you have the burden of proving the case. For me to look at him and say, you owe that lady $1,000, you have to be able to prove that they did something wrong and caused that. And you're just completely unable to prove that once you leave the premises like this. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the judge finds for the defendant in this case. I think everybody can sympathize with the plaintiff, but she could not prove her case that the damage happened in the parking lot. Eric, let me just ask you, do you get sued very often, or is this an unusual situation?
It is an unusual situation. It's an open lot. And besides, my parking lot, how can you put it? It's a very cheap parking lot where I charge $8 for a day.
I understand. All right. Ms. Johnson, you understand the judge's predicament? You didn't have proof. You couldn't prove it, Well,
if I was able to get the video, I would be able to prove it, but I guess that's not in, my control.
Yeah, as he claimed, the video cameras were not high definition. They wouldn't have showed it, probably. So you're just kind of out of luck. Without proof, you're out of luck. And I know everybody can sympathize with you, but that's the way it is. Okay, well, the judge has explained this multiple times. Let's see what they have to say about it now. Here's another session of After the Verdict.
What do you suppose the plaintiff could have done or should have done to really protect herself in a case like this, where she's going to a parking lot, she's got her beloved car, she doesn't want anything to happen to it?
Check your car whenever you give, a several $1,000 item to somebody, and you're getting back that several $1,000 item.
Right.
Check the several $1,000 item.
Mm-hmm. I confess I don't always do it. You always do it. Whether I'm driving or you're driving, we come out of whatever business we were in, you walk all the way around the car and you look it over to see if there's anything obvious.
I could be in a ball gown and you could be in a tuxedo, and I am walking around to make sure the car is not dented.
Well, if you're as squirrely about your cars as I am, you don't park them in the lot at all. You find someplace else to put it.
You find
where
you
think it's safe.
You find the last space at the mall 2 miles away, because I've been there.
Guilty as charged.
That's what you do, not me.
But I drop you off up front.
Actually, that's true.
Okay, Karen says this. Hey, Harvey, my neighbor's roof collapsed on his abandoned house and some debris fell on my house. Can I sue my neighbor? Well, if the debris fell and the debris wasn't secured, I think you got a damn good case, actually, because somebody who has an abandoned house especially needs to make sure things don't fly away.